Hey guys, welcome back. So sorry if I look and sound like death right now. I actually have COVID, but I did want to come on here and record really quickly. So the last time I reacted to dating coaches on TikTok, one of you suggested that I also react to dating coaches instructing people on how to get their ex back. And I looked into it and I found out that there are actually quite a few things out there about how to get your ex back. And they all seem to have kind of the same advice. So let's talk about it today. Let's see from my perspective as a doctor of clinical psychology whether it is sound advice, and let's just react.
The only way to make your ex come back, whether you're blocked, whether he's with somebody else, it doesn't matter. They always come back when you use this technique. But caution, when you do this, you might not even want them back. I literally got myself blocked on LinkedIn. Yeah, I was doing some wild stuff from unhealed trauma in a past relationship, and he still came crawling back.
Okay, but I have to wonder, if you're getting yourself blocked on LinkedIn because, in her own words, she was unhealed and not her best self, are you sure that you're healed now? Because trying to desperately get someone to do what you want of them, whether it be come back to you or something else, I would say is also not very healed behavior. Anytime we try to control somebody else's behavior or try to manipulate them into giving us what we want, that is not healed behavior.
It works. First of all, circumstances don't matter. Whether he's moved on with someone, whether you behaved in a certain way, whether he told you to your face he never wants to see you again, it literally does not matter.
Yes, it does. If somebody literally tells you to your face that they never want to see you again, that does matter. Please respect that. Please stop pushing their boundaries.
Currently, your self-concept is someone that is blocked, discarded, he doesn't want to see you. And so you need to start building your self-concept back up to being the prize. You are the prize. You are the only one.
Oh my god, the music is so loud. It's like so hard to focus on what she's saying.
For him. But the only way to do this is by taking your energy. Stop thinking about him. Every time you think about him, snap your fingers and start pouring into yourself. I am this beautiful woman. Every time you do, you're letting yourself in that family.
This is such unhealthy advice. First of all, telling yourself in the mirror that you're the most beautiful person that's ever walked the earth is not healthy. There's a difference between self-esteem and self-compassion, and thinking that you have to be the best at something, the most beautiful at something. First of all, it's not realistic. There's no such thing. There's always going to be somebody that's more attractive, more intelligent, whatever it is. Telling yourself, I am the most beautiful person in the world, I can honestly not think of anything less healthy to do. So that's one thing. Another thing is, I cannot imagine anybody, if they saw their ex standing in front of a mirror saying these sorts of affirmations to themselves, I'm the most beautiful woman in the world, would think, yeah, that's somebody I want to go back to. I know it's operating under the assumption that your ex isn't going to see this side of you, but if this is who you are on your own time behind closed doors, at some point that's going to reflect out of doors. At some point that's going to reflect in the way you interact with other people. When somebody realizes that this is the sort of behavior that you've been taking part in, it's not going to be very attractive to them. And thirdly, she said something else that I disagreed with. She said that anytime you think about your ex, you need to sort of distract yourself and think about something else. That's a form of avoidance, and avoidance is only going to strengthen an obsession that you have. There's a difference between keeping yourself busy, filling your time with lots of activities, lots of things that make your life full, and intentionally avoiding thinking about a certain subject. Doing the latter is only going to strengthen the obsession.
That's weird. You're going to be like, what the hell am I doing? But I promise you, he's going to feel this energetic shift. When you're changing your self-concept and you suddenly show up as the queen, as the prize, as the only woman that he would ever want, and you start repeating that and looping that, he's going to feel it energetically. He doesn't need to be in your presence. He doesn't need to be on the phone to you. He just can feel it energetically, especially if you're in no contact and you start pouring into yourself. I promise you, this is a foolproof method to get anyone to fall back. The only issue is you're probably not going to want him back once he's back.
Okay, So this last part I do agree with. The more you pour into yourself and the more you invest in your own life, the more you will probably heal from this breakup and the less you will want this person back. And the more you value yourself, the more secure you are in your own self-esteem and your own self-concept, probably the more valuable you will seem to other people as well, because, they're going to sense this person thinks that they're valuable. Maybe there's something worth valuing about them. And that's why, unfortunately, people with low self-esteem end up in relationships with people that don't value them because they don't value themselves, and that reflects onto other people and other people believe that. I think it is so normal in the aftermath of a breakup to want to get that person back, to miss them, to want to be with them, to want for them to desire you, to want them not to move on with anybody else. That is so normal following a breakup. But I think it's content like this that gets people stuck in a loop of there's actually something I can do to make that happen. When in reality, when somebody breaks up, most of the time, that's because something was incompatible in the relationship. And you have to sort of wade through the grief and eventually get on the other side where you can maybe realize, okay, I actually don't think that this was the relationship for me, or I think I was still in this love-drunk phase following in the breakup. Or maybe you get to the other side and you do still want that person and you think, I still think that they're the right person for me and I want to try and make it work, and that's fine too. The advice she's giving of pour into yourself and your own self-worth is not bad advice. It's just the way that she's executing it by saying these grandiose affirmations in the mirror and the mindset of going into it by saying this is going to get me my ex back. That's the unhealthy part. Let's watch her more.
Here's when you could get your ex back after a breakup and the exact timelines of how things are going to work. So needless to say, everybody's different. The factors involved are going to affect the timeline.
Yes, and that's why making a timeline is not realistic or helpful. There's so much heterogeneity. There's so many different individual personal factors that go into something like this. To say here's a distinct timeline is just not accurate in my opinion.
Ex broke up with you out of frustration because of lack of communication, but they really still love the shit out of you and they really don't want to break up with you. Okay? Going no contact for maybe like a week will bring them back, and you don't even have to necessarily work too hard. You got to fix your communication issues. You got to go to couples therapy together eventually and get this thing nailed down so you don't keep doing this. But sometimes even just a week of no contact will do the trick. So if you've tried to go no contact and you just made it a couple of days, this should be motivating for some of you guys that can't even seem to kind of go longer than just a day or two. So that's on the front end of the spectrum. So what's on the back end of the spectrum? How long would this take, maximum? Well, of course, the longest it could take is that it never happens. But exes come back probably 95% of the time. So you're probably not going to be in that extreme.
Exes come back 95% of the time? Since when? What's the source for this exactly?
Range. So the longest it could take for people whose exes actually come back, the 95% or whatever, is usually somewhere in the neighborhood of about 2 months. And therefore, that's the max time that you're going to go into no contact. And once you get to about that 2 month mark, and if they haven't said anything to you, that's when you're going to throw a Hail Mary, reach out to them and, see what's up. But when we start talking about the 2 month mark, that's assuming that no contact didn't even, prod your ex to message you. So what happened? Like when is it most likely that they'll actually message you? That's what we really want, right? We want them coming back to you since they're the one that broke up with you.
No. If you're in no contact with someone, if you're on a break with someone, the goal should not be to make them reach out to you. The goal should be to actually take that time apart like you say you want to do. If you're going no contact or taking a break with the hope that that person's actually going to want to reach out to you, that's manipulation. That's not actually healthy. That's not setting boundaries between each other. That's you trying to get them to pursue you by retreating. When someone says, I don't want to speak with you for a week or for 2 months, please respect that. Please respect that. The person means it.
We want them wanting your attention. We want them wondering where they stand with you. And so again, factors are different for every situation, okay? But what I'll say is that, the best case scenario, like we talked about in the beginning of this video, is usually about a week. And it could literally happen anywhere between that first week or that first month. And once you start getting into that second month of no contact, and if they haven't messaged you, it could be that the problems that you had in the relationship were particularly intense and we need to sort of counteract those with personal development. And the other thing is, if you've made it about a month into no contact and you haven't got that message yet, you need to kind of turn up the heat in terms of the types of pictures that you're posting on social media, the kind of vibe that you're putting out into the universe. You need to turn up the heat just a little bit, because we ought to have probably heard from that person over the first month. Now, if you're in no contact and you haven't heard from your ex yet, I got a lot of answers for you. I got a lot of solutions for you. Click into my profile, click this link down here, either book a call with me or get my new Get Your Ex Back super course.
This is upsetting to me. And the reason it's upsetting to me is because it's people like this that give a bad rep to those of us that actually have qualifications and degrees behind our name, who make valuable courses that are scientifically based on decades of training. It makes people think like, oh, all courses are just trash. All courses are just a money grab. That is not the case. Courses are like any sort of medium. Saying all courses are bad is saying like all documentaries are bad, all movies are bad, all books are bad. No, of course there are going to be good ones and bad ones within each medium form, right? But there is such a high density right now of people making courses like this, designed to get your ex back and things of that sort, that are from people who have no formal qualifications in giving relationship advice, whose advice is not very healthy, and who, probably just want to make a quick buck. Please, from the bottom of my heart, do not think that this is all courses. I greatly respect courses created by therapists. I greatly respect courses created by people who actually have qualifications in what they do. For instance, Writing Masterclass by Margaret Atwood was great because she is a best-selling author. I'm very happy that the feedback I've received on my course, the Connection course, which is about skills required to uphold healthy relationships, has been very positive up until now. I hope that the effort and the quality of the course will speak for itself for the people that have purchased it. Please do not think that all people who create courses are like this, because we are not. This is a very good example of what happens when people call themselves something like a coach in an unregulated field where there isn't a governing body to sort of slap them on the wrist if they harm other people. And they've taken it upon themselves to do all the things that trained therapists do, to provide psychoeducation, to create courses, to coach people in ways that look very similar to therapy. It is a very enticing promise to tell someone, I will help you get your ex back, buy my course, and then you will get your ex back. That is not a realistic goal, because another person coming back to you is not something within anyone's control except that person themselves. So I don't know what's in this person's course, but I can only imagine it can't actually get you your ex back, because you can't actually control what another person does with their decisions.
Popping in here to say, you can always get your ex back. Always. I don't care what the situation is. I don't care if he broke up with you, if you broke up with him. It really doesn't matter. As a matter of fact, if he broke up with you, there's actually a higher chance of him coming back.
They always say stuff like this that I'm like, based on what statistics? That doesn't sound true at all. Saying something like this is honestly giving the heebie-jeebies a little bit, because it kind of sounds like when somebody just won't let up on letting their partner leave them and they go to extreme extents to try to rope them back in. That's super scary behavior, and you should not take part in it.
Since that was his decision, he's the one that's going to sit there and be like, did I do the right thing here?
Not necessarily. Like I said, yes, breakups are very difficult. And a lot of times, even people that broke up with you are going to sit there and ask themselves that and wonder, because that's one of the stages of grief, is trying to figure out, did I do the right thing? Was there something more I could have done? Did I make a mistake? All of that. But in most cases, by the time a person gets to a point where they feel willing to break up with their partner and actually do it, it's reached a head where it's so intolerable to be in that relationship. Most people don't take breakups very lightly. There are exceptions to this, of course, but most people, when they come to a point where they want to break up with someone, they really feel like the cons of being in that relationship outweigh the pros. So don't imagine that they're just going to be sitting there fiddling their thumbs, because the truth of the matter is that they wanted this for a reason.
They're going to eventually have that thought, okay? Whether that happens right away or kind of down the road, depends. The main thing for you is your game plan. That is what is going to do this, okay? Depending on what happened, what the situation was, you literally start one day with your game plan, and you execute.
I don't really understand what she's saying. I don't understand what the game plan is. But it does bother me that, again, she's framing it from this lens of like, you have the power to control another person's thoughts and feelings and actions. Because let me be very clear that you do not. You cannot control what another person does or thinks or feels about you. So if you want to do yourself a favor, if you want to move past this in a healthy way, don't approach it from the lens of how am I going to try to force something to control something that's not within my control. Go through it from the mindset of, here are the things I can control, here are the things I can't. And the things that I can't control could involve interacting with loved ones, trying a new activity, investing in myself, all of this stuff, dating other people. Everything that is not within your control, it is time to stop thinking about it. It is time to start acknowledging that it's not within your control. All right, let's do one more. This one is from somebody who I actually recognize. This is somebody I reacted to in my original dating coach's advice video.
You want someone to come back, and not only come back, but beg for a second chance. This is how you're gonna do it. But I'm going to tell you right now, even though this is simple, it's not necessarily easy, and it's why a lot of people fail. Because it's going to require you to change your perception of the situation. So right now, you're operating from a place of lack. It's why you clicked on this video. For example, you might think to yourself, I'm never going to hear from them again. I messed it up. They're gone forever. They're going to find someone better than me, etc. And the problem is, when you operate from a place of lack, you continue attracting lack. Because the universe hears that and it goes, okay, your wish is my command, and it boomerangs that outcome back to you. So what you need to do is shift from lack into abundance. And the way to shift into abundance is to cut the self-negating language. So instead of saying those things, start saying things like, of course I'm going to hear from them again. I'm a catch. Why wouldn't they want to reach out? And you're going to do this repeatedly until you actually believe it.
Look, the way you speak about yourself is very valuable, but the sorts of examples that she's giving, they kind of sound like trying to lean into delusion. Instead of telling yourself, of course I'm going to hear from them, I'm a catch, of course, like they're going to want to talk to me. When somebody has made it abundantly clear that actually they don't want to be a part of your life, it would be much healthier to instead tell yourself things like, I am valuable with or without them. I have other things with which to fill my life. I can find somebody else that does feel very sure about wanting to be with me. Those are healthier ways of speaking about yourself than convincing yourself that something that might not happen is absolutely going to happen. It is not healthy to delude yourself. If you want to heal from a breakup faster, one thing that you have to do is you have to honor the duality of it. You have to honor, I really want to be with this person, and also they don't want to be with me. You have to honor, I am a valuable person and this person maybe doesn't value me that much. I am a catch and this person doesn't think I'm a catch. Both can coexist, okay? And it's healthy to acknowledge that, and it's healthy to focus on the positive. But you do not need to try to twist the negative and to distort it into its polar opposite. That is not healthy.
One of two things is going to happen. They're either going to come back begging for a second chance, or your frequency is going to elevate to a point where you actually don't want to hear from them anymore.
I'm glad that at least many of these dating coaches are acknowledging a very important fact, which is that if you do this and you work on building up your self-esteem and filling your life with other things, you might not want your ex anymore at that point. That is in a lot of cases very true, and it's a very healthy thing to come to. If I could give you my own advice, if you're going through a breakup, if you're really missing your ex and wanting them back, what I would generally say is, it's normal to be in pain right now. It's normal to miss them, to want to reach out to them. If you can push through this and push through these negative beliefs you have, that you're never going to find anybody like them again or things like that. If you can push through them and get to the other side, if you can tolerate this temporary distress of however many weeks or months or maybe even years, one day you're going to look back on this and think it was so silly. You're going to think back and say, I can't believe that I was so hung over this person that wasn't right for me. I can't believe that I didn't think there was something better for me out there. I can't believe how torn up I was over this. I don't know anyone that I can think of that looks back on a breakup that happened more than like a year ago and still wants that person. The only thing you need to do to manage the distress is to just ride it out, to get social support, to go back into things that you love doing that make you feel good and that make you feel competent, to build your self-esteem up in healthy ways, not delusional, grandiose ways, but ways that honor that you are a worthy human being even when it feels like you're not. Those are the things that are ultimately going to make this ride smoother. I would strongly discourage trying to focus on how can I get this person back, because like I said, that's simply not within your control. And it's not going to get you closer to healing. Let me know what you thought about this in the comments, and I'll see you hopefully soon when I no longer have COVID. Bye.